This is not a video about judgment. It's about human exploration of the internal body and what you're witnessing inside of you, and then naming it and working through it. I had this experience the other day, and it was, if you use the word triggering, I walked into my bathroom after I'd seen something on Instagram and my heart was pounding and I was highly activated, not saying anything, but just not knowing what to do with this energy in my body. So triggering has an activating sense of it, as saying like, wow, there's an emotion here that I don't know how to handle and what to do with it. And this is the process of this video, like explaining a really specific story linked to religious trauma or spiritual abuse, and naming where have I felt this before and what do I'm actually feeling. There's also like this link to how it feels in the physical body and symptoms that might show up in response to these things that we are feeling but are hidden. Triggers are indicators that there's something that we've felt in the past that was unresolved, or there was like stuck emotion inside of our body that never was released or witnessed or dealt with or moved through. So the specific story happened recently with Instagram. Every time you open it, a new post shows up that would fit on your algorithm, but it's not someone that you specifically follow. And this post that showed up that day, it was a carousel, and the first block that you could read said, "I'm suing the church that I grew up in," and then you kind of scroll through and read the story. And I just happened to grow up in the same conservative religion, and I'm trying to understand how to let go of religion right now and honor spirituality more so, because religion is structured, it's ran by people, spirituality is expansive and explosive in a way of like there's no limits, but also there's like this surrender side of spirituality too, which is just incredibly beautiful, which is in a way almost I'm giving up to see what the greater good can allow. So as I'm navigating this in my own story, it was just so extreme to get introduced to this person that had an agenda to sue the church, the conservative church she grew up in. But as I started reading some of her work, or I just like Googled some of her work, it's a whole stick that she has identified with. So she legally changed her name in rebellion against the church, and there's really specific ways how she manipulated and pulled what she had gotten from church and legally changed her name. She started a company that specifically divides her against the church, and then she makes like angry screaming music now and has like an incredible amount of following, the people that are like resonating with this like punk rock type of music. Me with my I'm very sensitive, me with like my sensory needs, it doesn't resonate. And what she's doing is advocating for those, but also like trying to tell the truth in her own way. Totally honorable. I love advocacy. I think it's a huge, healthy part of standing up for yourself and staying strong as a human being. Here's the thing. I was caught in my bathroom with this spirit of, I tried to name it as I listened to my heart pound. and felt the activation inside my back of my chest. And I was like, oh, I'm afraid. This is just genuine fear. What do I do now with this fear? And I also asked myself, okay, this is a flavoring or something that was similar that I felt in my past. I'm recognizing it. I'm recognizing the same symptom of fear, and it needs to move through my body. What could that be? And I started asking myself, kind of like you would play 20 questions, like uh, often you would start like, is this like a feminine trigger, a masculine trigger? Is this something that's like currently happening or something from my past? As I was reviewing these questions with myself, I realized like this is definitely from a long, long time ago, that the fear that I've held in from a long, long time ago. And it was so interesting because it was a specific fear that I grew up in, or that I received in my family of origin, is just like, if we don't do everything right on the line and perfectly, and to please the elders, and to keep ourselves unseen so we're safe, and just that same value of fear, but it was on the opposite spectrum for religion. So someone that I had seen on Instagram was opposing religion, but this fear that I received in childhood was for religion. So there's this deeper concept. I heard this concept taught by Abraham Hicks, who's like a spiritual, helps with spiritual integration teacher. You can find her stuff on YouTube, but the concept is there's two sides to every coin. So if we're holding up the coin of religion, and if you're opposing religion, and it's all you have built your life around and are based on and everything, you're holding up the same coin as I'm holding up, that is like, or as I grew up as, that is for religion. That's like, let's promote this to everybody. Let's make sure everybody knows these things. Let's act perfectly so we are kept in a safe environment, and so we're accepted by our community. And as we do so, there's not a lot of difference. It's just one side of the coin, one side of the coin, but really it's the same. It's the same coin, because in my internal system, I felt, wow, I've felt this before, even though like my family of origin did not display the rebellion side, if you will, for lack of a better word. They displayed like the perfectionist side, like we can't mess up or we will be in danger. And fear that I received as a child and pulled in was definitely on this side of the coin. How interesting that this side of the coin can trigger it. So what do we do with the coin? Well, first of all, you have to recognize like what's happening inside my internal body. Like, as I focus on this coin so much, is it serving me, and is my physical body responding to these things? Some people in my religion, like I just don't know if, or some people in the religion that I grew up with, I just don't know if it affects them as much and it permeates their lives as much as it did me personally. I can't tell. I can't tell their story. I can't tell their resolution. But an indicator of spiritual trauma and spiritual abuse that feels so extreme in the fear dynamic is that we listen to our internal body and say like, what are you telling me? And we work with that, and those patterns, like the knots tying in our gut, or the possibly IBS symptoms that are being displayed, like irritable bowel symptoms that are being displayed, or anxiety, like uh, the rhythm pumping in the chest of just like, "Ah, this doesn't feel safe," or the heaviness, weight on the shoulders, the pain in the lower back. Like, these are indicators that something might be off when we're participating in things that have this essence of fear, that was never resolved or never spoken to or never witnessed or never sat with in childhood. And so how do you move these things through? Number one, naming it. Like, I feel fear. Number two, I I think I pulled it in as a child, and giving yourself like so much love, for being a part of that system, or a part of that event, or a part of that display of care, or whatever it was, or lack of care. I think neglect is a huge part of why these things get stuck, is because they weren't witnessed. And so as an adult, you can definitely be a witness to it and name it, like, oh, these feelings, ideas, fears were pulled in as childhood. And then move somehow to work this through your system. So going on a healthy walk, screaming in a pillow, mobilizing in some ways. There's a lot of somatic approaches, or working with the body to like move this energy through. Something that feels natural and good. Kids are really, really good displayers of moving energy through. They throw fits and tantrums. They punch pillows. They scream out loud. So you do these, as an adult, you have to do these things in a controlled way, that don't make you look like a maniac, but get the mania out. uh, Symptomatically, I tried to name what was happening that day, and I have like all the symptoms of what you would call like a sensory processing disorder, like really sensitive to temperatures, touches, like what's happening inside my internal system. I can like internally feel, like if I drink a cup of cold water, I can internally feel it like dribble down and feel it like in my stomach, and then it often makes my stomach upset, just a simple glass of cold water, because it has it's giving me too much stimulus. That temperature gives my stomach too much stimulus, and then I have to like work through it, move through the motion. But I was like, oh, maybe all this fear is linked to my sensory processing disorder, because when I started investigating like if my specific religion was helping me or serving me or hindering me, it was around the time that my sensitivity really heightened. And so just landing with it with curiosity, not judgment, openness, not they're wrong, they're right, not I'm gonna hold a a standard up so high for how I was raised, and then disregard the rebellion, because I think both can be regarded, or the rebellious side, excuse me. I think both can be regarding within inside a healing story, or resolution story. Let me say that, because like nothing's wrong. These are just experiences that have happened in our livelihoods, things that are we triggered by, have flavorings or repetitive patterns from the past. And when they come up, it's time to move them through. So that day specifically, when I was standing in my bathroom, my heart was pounding. I kept moving all day, but and just like using my arms, pressure, moving myself through the day, taking a quick walk and being with myself, grasping myself in a beautiful, strong hug, being with that. But the other part of moving it through is making this video like, wow, there's so much to do to integrate what has happened inside my internal story. I have written a blog post that defines spiritual abuse, but also invites and gives permission to take a break from not spiritual practice. I really believe in spiritual practice. It's part of who I am at the core. It's part of who I am as a being, part of how I was raised. But taking a look at religion and maybe saying, wow, I need a break for a minute. Let me step away and get my bearings and see things more clearly, and then see if my physical symptoms change at all. Or as you're participating, say like, oh, I have a stomach ache right now. Maybe I shouldn't, like, maybe I should leave this room and investigate. Or I feel the pounding in my chest right now. Maybe I should label what that feels like for me. So just, it gives permission to start exploring what's happening inside the physical body. It also gives links and resources. So if this is something you're dealing with currently, it could be, it could, like that blog post could share a book that you should read next, or a therapy you might can engage with. So thanks so much for watching. I just really enjoy sharing these resources and my personal story.